So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us David Wilford, who's the Chief Executive Officer at Bramley Baths. So, David, firstly, thanks for spending a bit of time with us. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Bramley Baths, and tell us a little bit about the background and history, that would be wonderful.
Okay, my name's David Wilford. I joined the Baths in 2020, right in the middle of lockdown. The Baths has been going since 1904. It's actually its 120th birthday today at 3 o'clock, opened by the Lord Mayor, and we've got the Lord Mayor of today coming at 3 o'clock. So it's quite a historic day, and Look North are covering it and Radio Leeds. But it was one of 8 Edwardian bathhouses that were put up for the cholera pandemic back in 1904 across Leeds and across the country, actually, because there's no sanitation until the 1930s. And we sort of became community led in 2012, 13. So we started on the 4th of January 2013. So a group of people for sort of 18 months beforehand have been the friends of Bramley Baths. And they were talking to neighbours saying, look, the council are going to close it unless we do something about it. Are you using the baths? Or do you want the baths to survive? Oh, yes, we do. Do you use it? No, we'll start using it. So they were running it down to 30 hours, 20 hours, and we're just going to close the building, and sell it off probably, or make a Wetherspoons or whatever it may be. But the group put a plan together and saved the baths, and now we're in our 12th year. So it'll be 12 years by the end of December. We've been successful every year through being community led and doing the things that the community want, So we do swimming lessons, we do swims, fun swims, gym classes. We do other classes, 37 other classes in the studio as well.
Fabulous. And for anyone that hasn't been there, I mean, at the very least, go on the website. You'll see what a beautiful building it is, and you can just see from behind you how you've still got so much of the original architecture.
Box, this is the reception box which we're keeping. That's where everybody got rid of them because there's a little window to serve from. We do serve out there now, but we're keeping it and we're refurbing it. We're doing a big refurbishment plan over the next 5 to 7 years. So
fabulous. So, David, maybe we start talking a little bit about your background, how you got into business, and how you became CEO of Bramley Baths.
Yeah, well, I started off. I left school at 16 and went to college, part-time day release, to be a designer manager in textiles. So I was in the mill. I did several months in each department, went into the mending department for the first one. The guy running it had a hernia after 2 weeks, and I ran the department for 6 months straight out of school. But I did my sort of HNC, HND and all that stuff at college, and I got a degree later on from the Textile Institute, by doing literally a paper and invented a yarn and a finish. Right. That something went into British Arms stores, which were quite interesting.
Oh, wow.
But I did what Norman Tebbit said in 1984 and got on my bike and went to London as a designer to a company called Armatex. And I came back in 1991 to Drummond Group as managing director of the subsidiary of a PLC.
Yeah.
But we brought the business north where all the talent was, because attracting talent down in London for textiles is a misnomer,
Yeah.
Paying extra wages for it down there in a quite a competitive market.
Yes.
So that was my first job was in the mill, commission weaver. So we wove for a lot of, 60 different companies.
Amazing.
Cut the craft through doing it day release part-time, 9 o'clock till 9:30 on some days on day release,
Yep.
With CMS management and stuff like that. So
wonderful.
when I left school, I wanted to be a joiner. I've
Right.
never done a piece of wood since, Used to go to night school from 14 upwards to learn how to do joinery. I got a good O level in it, but then I left it all behind. Vowed I'd never work in an office, and what have I done all my life? But I've travelled the world because we used to import a lot, and I used to go sourcing all over the Middle East, Far East, India, Thailand, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, everywhere, So
Wonderful. And how did you come in, eventually to Bramley Baths?
Well, I became a trustee of the local church work that we did in Bradford, I went to Bible college for 2 years, so I had to put down the trusteeship. I'll hold it for a while.
Right.
But then, after the 2 years, I came back as chief exec to the care centre, as they called it.
Yep.
So we had 110 0 to 5 children in a nursery. We had welfare, debt and advice with 5 advice workers, one of which I married. We had Hope Centre, which was training and employment.
Yep.
So we equip people to get jobs and help them get jobs.
Yep.
And we had all the people's work called Daylight, where 3 times a week they used to come in, volunteer and cook and sort of set up the tables and feed about 60 people a week who were stuck in their homes and everything. So we called it a cradle to grave provision. So that was from 2006. And then I went on my own in 2013 as a consultant to help the charity sector.
Brilliant.
Because business management skills that I'd gained over the textile side,
Yes.
I even went to Harvard for 10 days about building competitive advantage through operations.
Brilliant.
All transferable into the social sector, there's BCS sector. So
yeah, amazing. And looking through as the Baths have developed and from this changeover, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
Well, when we came, 98% of the income had disappeared, and the reserves were down to an all-time low, down to about 60,000.
As a result of COVID, yeah.
40,000 cash. We were burning money at a rate of knots, because thankfully for furlough. But I started writing some bids. Some bids had gone in that we were successful on for 100,000 from the lottery. But we got about 180 odd thousand from the National Lottery, Heritage Lottery.
Great.
And we living museum. So around the Baths, we've created 25 boards that are 1.8 meters by 1.2. They've got all the social history over the 100 and odd years. And that was really successful because it paid the wages of senior team. It paid for gas, electric, utilities, and all the things that would have sort of drained the reserve away to zero. Power to Change gave us 30,000 before I came, and I know the lady who was the grant officer, so I said I'm going to ring them up and see if they'll give us any more, if they've got any more. Said you'll be lucky, the pot's dry. But I rang up on the Friday afternoon, spoke to the reception. She said, well, it's the last round, and leave it with us. And on Wednesday, I'm walking past this box here, and the phone goes, and it's, would another 20,000 be okay? Oh yeah, that'd be fine, thank you.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, if you don't ask, you don't get, I think, in life. But I think the turnaround was we reset everything. It was a great time to reset when everything shut for 2 months, then for 3 months.
Yes.
So we reset, looked at everybody who were using the baths, because it was a community business. The baths was being given away at a loss, basically, some of the time.
Right, yeah.
Not sustainable. Also, because they made a reasonable surplus of 80,000 2 years running, previous chief exec and the board decided they would honour the Leeds card, which gives people really low rates. But Leeds card with the council give the sites back money to cover that subsidy, the health subsidy. But we didn't have it, it just came straight off at the bottom line.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So it went from an 80 surplus to a 38 loss in the year before I came.
Right.
But then we've been in surplus, even through COVID, we're 38,000 surplus.
Brilliant.
And then not last year before, we were 199, and this last year we're 96, because paying now, part of the setup of Bramley Baths was to pay staff well, to be community led and to protect the heritage building.
Yes.
But the wages had slipped, because of austerity, various other things. But now we do the real living wage.
Yeah, great.
The paid is real living wage. Even the 16, 17-year-olds get £9.60, not the £6.64 or whatever is the, because they're doing a lifeguarding job.
Yeah.
But something we're doing by design now, but it was just by default. We've got 4 lifeguards now who are kids who have come from swim school at 3 on the Rookies and Sharks, and are now doing lifeguarding while they're doing higher education or further education. So that's how we staff it as well. We've got a lot of part-timers, students who are studying, for their degrees or doing A-levels. And it fits in because it's like a big jigsaw. One of our duty managers does all the planning.
Yep.
But he does it. There's so many variables, but she does a really good job.
It's a real community project, isn't it? For everything you said, with local people that have come to learn to swim to then become lifeguards, and
Yeah.
it must be very. I mean, I imagine it must be a very rewarding thing to do, although I'm
It's
sure very challenging.
got a great bunch of trustees as well. They're fantastic, They're right behind the project and everything. But what we've done, I've developed the talent as well over the 4 and a bit years that I've been here. My finance officer used to be, she did a law degree here doing part-time reception.
Yes,
Then she started AAT. She's now level 4, fully qualified AAT practitioner on her account. So she does our finances. Kay came as from care into being a receptionist. Now she does the rotas and the HR. Jodie came from Nuffield and runs the swim school and all the health and safety.
brilliant.
Everybody we develop throughout, and we allow everybody who's an employee here to have a development path, even if it takes them out with the bath eventually, because it's good to have that sort
Yes.
of sort of new blood coming through all the time.
I think that's for my learning is if we sort of try and hold on to people too much, then we typically push them away, don't we? It's like, yeah, if we can be part of your journey, that's great. If you want to stay, that's wonderful. But if you want to move, we'll support you in that too.
That's right. So everything I've learned, it's like imparting and imparting.
Yeah, brilliant. So what would you say are some of the biggest things you've learned about growing businesses, organisation, but whether not just Bramley, but in your career?
I think the first thing you look at has got to be the governance, how things are managed.
Yes,
Are you true to your mission? In the voluntary sector, but even in a business,
yes,
what's the goal? Look for 5 years forward, then bring it back, and you've got to do something today to achieve something in a month.
brilliant.
And so in a month that'll happen in 3 months and 6 months and so on. And what I did with the team, the senior team, I took them down to team leaders from duty managers because they were just being dictated to
Right.
before. And I got a black belt trainer, Peter Lee. I don't know if you know him. In Still, he's called his company, but I've worked with him for 30 odd years from the PLC days. He used to be at Dale Carnegie, and I did some graduate assisting there. But we rebuilt them, as it were, and I sort of asked the manager, I said, how did you cope under the old system? It was tyrannical, it was quite oppressive.
Right.
And they said, well, we didn't know anything else until you came home.
Yeah.
That's a tragedy, and it is a tragedy of a lot of businesses, that don't thrive, because if you're dictated to, then everything falls apart when
Absolutely.
Absolutely
Couldn't agree more. It's the idea that and not just I feel it's ineffective, but it really doesn't work anymore in this world. I heard somebody speak recently, and he said, the war for talent has ended and talent's won. It's like if we try and dictate, if we try and force things into people, they'll just find somewhere else to go. It's
right. That's right. Now we do an anonymous survey with the staff, and we're saying what are the things that you're more concerned about, and pay rates down at number 3 now. It's not number 1 anymore.
Brilliant.
We give death in service benefit to anybody who joins, 4 times income. We do sovereign healthcare for anybody over 16 hours.
Brilliant.
And it's those extra things that make the reward package more sort of like worthwhile. And you're investing in their mental health, physical health, and all that. They get money back for glasses and dental, physio.
Brilliant.
Built-in employer assist program. We've got counselling and CBT. So it's been a good employer. We're like an exemplar in the single site heritage stuff. So.
Brilliant. And I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you work with, whether that's business, sport, life in general, who've had the biggest influences on you.
I'd say Peter Lee's a big one, who's fashion stuff, because he's really good. I mean, I think he's 17 now or something like that, but he's still young at heart, and the principle of Dale Carnegie stuff, the Outwin Friends and Influence stuff. That is one of the best books that I'd advise anybody going out on a career to read.
Brilliant.
But he makes it so matter of fact.
Yeah.
And he picks on, pinch points, and, we explore them. I mean, the next meeting we're having on the 18th of November, and he'll make it difficult for all of us, including me, because we're having staff coming in and presenting what they needs attention, and we're going to live do the situation, you know.
Brilliant.
Progressive, and staff feel like they're being heard then because they're
Yes.
coming in and presenting what they want to be looked at.
Yep.
And then you don't get that disconnect between management and employees, you know.
Yes, absolutely. I often feel, as businesses develop, the challenge often is the leadership group move away. It's almost like a train, but with sort of elastic coupling. So the manager moves on and they leave the team behind. And if it stretches far enough, either breaks or comes together really. So that steady of developing everyone together is so important.
Yeah. Well, I was actually 97. I was textile president at 35, which is quite a unique thing because usually old doddery people who were textile presidents, you know, if you want. But in essence, we had a HSBC economist come and talk to us. And he said with the interest rates, when they're putting them up, it's like a brick with an elastic band on.
Yeah.
You keep pulling it. All of a sudden, the brick goes like that. And that's what's happened with inflation this time. It's a phenomenon that always happens.
Yes.
I said they've gone too far. They should have dropped 0.25% this time, but they haven't. And now they've got to drop probably 0.5%, haven't they? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I think you asked what influences me. I say to young people, do what you want to do and what you like to do, because you're going to be in it for some time, even though it's not going to be a lifetime like it used to be. You may have several jobs.
Yes.
But become a sponge and pick out the good bits out of everything that you learn and discard the stuff that's no good.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest tips I'd give people.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And do you have any favourite quotes or sayings you catch yourself using a lot?
Yeah, winning's not everything, it's the only thing.
Yeah, great.
In second, nobody recognises second, do they, you know?
No, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And what would you say you've learned about yourself throughout your career and journey so far, David?
Well, when I was in London, I took over at 25. Otto Newman, who founded the company, and a guy called Ray Downs, because it was quite a big textile concern at 1.14 million, and that back then in the 70s, 80s were a lot of money.
Yes.
But the trouble by not building the management team. So I listened to the managing director, Otto Newman, who's Czechoslovakian, who ended up speaking all the languages and helping the generals after the war. He was a tank commander. And he ended up interpreting for them because he knew French, Belgian, every sort of thing. But he used to shout and bawl, and I used to copy him at first. But I thought, it's not good for your health, this, isn't it? You know?
No.
Because you're dealing with suppliers who are 200 miles north, 250 miles north. But we had to get things done with people over the wires. We only had teletext, you know,
Yes.
I used to type it in and stuff. So it was snail mail.
Yeah.
And it became facsimile, and we had the garment business down one end and the textile there. And we sent the first piece of paper because how the heck does it do that? You know, now we've got internet. It's like, if we had that 30 years ago, then who knows where we'd be now, you know?
Brilliant.
But in essence, on the day that I became managing director, Otto Newman resigned.
Right.
And went to America. He dropped dead in Miami airport. So I'd lost. He's still going to be there, well, Ray.
Right.
But he died. He dropped dead in Miami airport that night. And it was like,
goodness.
It was the same night as Lockerbie, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So it was an old building, flat roof building, and they had these big pillars, and I just leant against that. So what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
I had to sort of work with some of my suppliers, who the managing directors there were quite long in the tooth and really wise people.
Yeah.
They sort of helped to mentor me as well, even though I was buying from them. I had to be tough with them. But I think it's know when to ask, and don't be afraid of asking. You know, I'm the person in the room who says, "Excuse me, what that sort of what does that mean?"
What does that mean?
Well, it means this and that, and that acronym. What does that mean? And then you walk out, and senior directors in local authorities and all this, and say, "I'm glad you asked that, because we ain't got a clue either." So ask questions, because if you don't, you're being foolish, aren't you? Because how can you hit the target if you don't know what they're talking about? You know.
Absolutely. It can be a challenging thing, can't it? Because if everyone else appears to know what we're talking about. But I've had similar experiences, and you ask the question, and then a lot of other people go, "Well, I'm so glad you asked that question because I didn't really know, and I didn't want to tell anybody." And it's
Yeah, yeah.
you have those situations. Um, well, look, I mean, it's obviously a very, very special day today with a 120-year anniversary. But looking forward now, what does the future look like for you guys, and what
The,
challenges?
the future for me, I'm retiring in 4.5 years from here.
Yeah,
So we've already done a succession plan.
great.
And the board have accepted it. And it'll go from being a chief exec role to an operations director stroke manager and a swim school and health and safety and the chief exec, because we're breaking into health by default. So I
Yeah,
did research in 16, 17 for the CCGs in Bradford. And then I mentioned it to the local care partnership.
yes,
Well, what can Bramley Baths do on health then with this COVID thing? So we ended up doing a project around CEV, clinically extremely vulnerable people who were shielding in COVID who hadn't been out for 2.5 years.
yeah,
And it was really successful because we co-designed the program with them, not doing it to them like the NHS does, not making them, this is a program, come and access it. We actually built the program with the people and it brought them out of their homes and they felt confident. But after the sort of 13 weeks, they took memberships, did 60% of them and carried on building the health up.
right.
So we took membership from 140 after COVID up to 988 this month. And
Amazing.
pay as you go members about 1950 as well. So it's really thriving.
Yeah,
The reserve now is 697 and we've got £500,000 in the bank and we bought £110,000 worth of technology and equipment. So, I know how to turn a business around. But the future is we're trying to develop internally, but they'll have to pass muster and we may externally advertise as well,
yeah,
It's not a given, but at least those people are being trained up to a high standard.
yes,
So they could either stay or they can go whatever needs to happen.
yeah,
Seen too many times with charities where it gets to a year before and it's, oh, we need to do something, chief exec's leaving. Then
yeah,
they parachute somebody in who's the wrong fit. Then it's 2 years of, losing ground and changing things. It all falls apart. Then another 2 years for somebody to build it back up.
yes,
And it's not, you've got to future proof. You've got to be looking forward. I'm always horizon scanning.
yeah,
No, everybody's looking at the short term. I'm 2 years, 3 years hence.
yeah, brilliant.
But it's like 18 months out, there'll be a deputy chief executive who
Yeah.
starts taking everything off of me, what I mean? So that it's seamless.
And as you say, taking our time to do this is so key, isn't it? Because then you've got 18 months for you to mentor that person, effectively, so that there will be as close to seamless changeover as possible.
Yeah, because stability is important, especially this day and age.
Yes.
We're a community-led business. We listen. We're canvassing the customers all the time. And if we can't do it, we close the feedback loop. If they ask something impossible, then we go back to them and say reasons why. But
Yeah.
we'd consider it, but these are the reasons that really don't make it a goer.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm keen to know what you'd say to anybody that was thinking of going into business right now. What would be some of your advice?
I think get some good support. I've sort of mentored a few people sort of for nothing. One lad who grew up in our church is running a community centre.
Yeah.
Before COVID, I helped him scope what had happened. Even though I'd still talk to him sort of on a monthly basis and talk through issues with him and stuff. He's taken it to about £380,000, in this market condition.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. He's now got he's reciprocating now because there's a government sort of think tank doing 20 people around a table talking about community centres, the value of them for a national pilot, and he's invited me along as one of the 20 people because he said, you've influenced this.
Brilliant.
So I was doing it before COVID,
Brilliant.
but I've known him for so long. He sort of worked on the youth side of the charity, and would, and he's ambitious, but he's moderate with it,
Yes.
He's sort of 34, but he's a very wise head on his shoulders, I'd say listen and take good advice is one of the key things when there's a lot of these, they're happening again now. I've seen some funny money come out in Bradford where we'll give you £5,000 and we'll help you with this and this and this. It's not the best way to start off as a lame duck with a grant. If you can't do your business at 10% borrowing, make it work. Don't even attempt it.
Yeah,
It'll fall flat on its face. You've got to be able to get the rate up to 10% if you're going to still do well with it.
yeah,
So go for it depends what people want. If they want a subsistence business, that's fine. If they want to build something that can go to scale,
yeah,
then make sure it can go to scale and get the right support.
yeah.
But getting grants and supports that give you a crutch, I don't believe in anybody getting a crutch and getting a hand up. You need to help people, but have the outcomes in mind rather than just, here's something that'll help you. And then when that's gone, it's like, we can't do it now because of this. It's like, no, because you can't run a model like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the word crutch is yeah, it literally take a crutch away, you fall over. And it's a good word. Grants and subsidies can be really valuable to support an effective business plan and a business model. But as you say, just because of that, it would be a little bit wary of doing that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
In the voluntary sector, because I was on the boards a lot for the VCS,
Yes.
I had to get the mentality of the voluntary sector, but it's not, like Scrooge, more please, can I have more? Or the not sharing, not partnering. I think partnership is important in
Yes.
business. We
Yep.
used to partner with our competition, because we dealt with all the high street, Burton Group, BHS, been in a room with Philip Green,
Yes.
came out, my rings were there, and out of 15 directors, I was the only one who went out and didn't agree to a retrospective discount for him.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I offered him going forward, if we go from 2 million up to 4 million, then we will give you 5%, not the 3 that you're after. We went to 5 million.
Brilliant.
All
Brilliant.
my supply chain throughout the world actually gave a little bit and we ended up making more money. You know what I mean? So that's how you do it. So everybody benefits,
Yes.
the
It's been, isn't it?
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Business has got to be win-win.
Yeah.
Anywhere where there's exploitation of 50-50, anybody crosses the 50% line, then it's manipulation and control, and that's not healthy.
Completely agree. And what I find interesting is in that sort of negotiation space is that, and I often say to people, the challenge is there isn't actually a formula to work it out. It's how you feel about it,
Yeah.
and it's being able to share that feels.
Unction as well, what your gut feel is.
Yes.
But the phrases that I use, the other one more, one good supplier is worth 2 good customers.
Oh, now that's a cool one.
Because your
About that one.
supply base is what lets you down or makes you successful as well.
Nice. So I haven't heard that before, and I'm just processing it. Yeah, that makes huge amount of sense.
Well, what we did because I did a partnership agreement with BHS and with Praxis, who were bad ladies, and it was we drove the partnership. We were the lowest people because we're the fabric lowest price bit, but they were writing off 4 million, 2.5 million quid on end of lines, just ditching
Yes.
it. So we got the figures on a Monday morning from BHS. They got like 580,000 units of whatever they were selling. And by lunchtime, we said, stop dyeing the burgundy, cut the green, dye some more navy, and double your black. And they said, how do you analyze it so quick? I said, we've only got 5 lines where you've got 300,000 lines, but get into the ribs, make yourself so desirable to the customer. I've always said if they want us to deliver fabric or things with pink wheels on the trucks, we'll do it because I believe customer is king. The customer's always right, but when they're wrong, you can tell them in a nice way. You don't have to do it in a nasty way.
Yeah, I often talk to business. We work a lot with SME businesses where the owner is still owner managed businesses, and we sort of say who's the most important in business to you, and typically people will say customers, and I said, well, from our perspective, it's actually the owners. It starts with the owners, then the team, and I was then going to say the customers, but I'm now going to say then the suppliers,
Yeah.
then the customers, because that's the order in which the permanency, because customers will come and go. You know, even if they're delighted, they may move away or die or whatever it would be.
One customer has a bad experience, they go and tell 8 others, and they tell 8 others.
Absolutely.
You don't realize that your business is disappearing, you know?
Absolutely. And that's really interesting. Yeah, yeah. But no, I've not ever heard that. One good supplier's worth two good customers. I'll take that one. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So last question for you. What would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that, David?
18-year-old.
Yep.
Well, they're the future, aren't they? I went to I got the notes from, because I couldn't go to it because of this thing happening here, but there's a global leadership thing, and it was about the Z-Gen and Alphas, you know?
Yep.
All that's going to end up with them
Yep.
in 10 years, you know? So they're a different kettle of fish, because we have a lot of them under 24s, is about 75% of our staff.
Right.
And it's a different way. We talked about management style and that. You've got to manage those kids differently.
Yep.
They don't think or process like we do.
Yep.
So I'd say read Outwin Friends and Influence People.
Great.
And have a fair dues management. Peter Lee calls it fair dues management, win-win.
Yep.
If
Great.
that, then you'll be successful in life and you'll be able to sleep. You better look in the mirror when you're shaving and say, you know, or, you know, putting your makeup on if you're a lady. I can sleep at night now because I haven't ripped anybody off. I haven't done it to the detriment of anybody. So I tell them to find somebody a little bit longer in the tooth and spend time with them chatting. And, you know, problems you've got to get rid of. Challenges you can overcome. So if something's a problem, weigh it up. If it's a challenge, you can overcome it. If it's not a challenge, then you've got to get rid of it and you've got to bite the bullet.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, David, it's been fascinating to talk to you, and I say congratulations to you and Bramley Baths for what a great day we're on. And just for anyone that's watching would like to get in touch with you or Bramley Baths, what would be the best way to do that?
David@bramleybaths.com.
Brilliant. Well,
the things we're doing now, we're helping others to develop, like Bramley Baths' shop. They came along, they're friends of Ilkley Lido. We're talking to them because they're looking at trying to take it to the council. So, and we've been up in Govan Hill Baths in Glasgow. We're helping Moseley Baths down in the Midlands, a £32 million project. But we're operational. They've not got to that stage. So sharing knowledge and best practice is a key thing to everybody, you know.
Wonderful. Well, I'd say it's been brilliant talking to you, and thank you so much. A lot of wisdom there, and some great ideas, and a few things I'm going to take away personally. And it'd be great to maybe swing by another 12 months and see the developments and how things are going, and maybe, you know, obviously you're talking about succession.
It's been nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, see you later.
Thank you.